topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Good afternoon, Houston. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show, where we bring you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Got a wonderful show for you today. One of our experts who's been with us for a long time. She actually does a show every other week, so you can kind of put that on your calendar so there won't be a show from our expert next week, though we will be here, but it'll be the following week. And if you miss part of the show, you can go to, really simple, you can go to either iHeart or YouTube and just put Ask the Experts in Houston, and you will see estate planning. All the shows are up there. You can go back and listen to any of them. Our expert today has an incredible law firm, Dean Law. Their phone number is 281-277-3326. I am telling you, planning is so important. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And we have been gathering your questions for the last 2 weeks. So we've got everybody's questions. You can also call us at 561-623-9429. Let me welcome you, Julia Dean of the Dean Law Firm.
Hi.
Good afternoon, Julia.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you.
I tell you what, you should have been, don't get upset with me, you should have been a law school professor, because the way you explain things, you make it so easy to understand. I could even make A's in your classes.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I come from a whole line of educators. So my dad was a professor.
I could see that. And Julia, you've won a lot of awards too.
I have been blessed to be recognized in many different ways, and I am so grateful. It's just a pleasure to do what I do. I have a passion for it, and I love showing up each day to help other people.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious, and we'll never forget this, and I'll always bring it up once in a while. We had a fairly big law firm that does estate planning called us. They heard your show, and they said, we want to do a show like that. Well, there's only one Dean Law Firm. We have one for estate planning. And they said, and this is unusual, by the way, normally they would go, well, we got a bigger and better firm than she does, and more people recognize our name. They didn't say that. They said, she's got a really incredible law firm. She's a good one. That is amazing.
That's an honor. Thank you so much. When your colleagues recognize you, it means the world, because they know the kind of work that we do and the excellence that we always strive for in everything we do.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious. And something I never bring up often enough, your firm, the people who work for you, when it comes to customer service, they are always on the ball.
Yes. It is our goal to always give 5-star customer service, and we're constantly refining what we do. but we're just listening to our clients and trying to make sure that we're addressing their needs proactively, addressing needs that they don't even know they have. And so over the years, it's just we've taken on more and more work for the client that a lot of times the attorneys will let them do, like the funding of their trust. We take that all on ourselves to the extent we can do it. We do it. We do have regular educational times as well as part of our client maintenance programs. And our clients love that because we get personal interaction with them and education. And most of our clients really enjoy just having educational times where they're learning and growing as well, to see if they might need to do something else, but mainly for their own benefit, to understand their own trust better.
We had a few people to write us in regards to a will. How often should you revisit on a will?
So anytime there's been a life change, there's birth, a passing of someone, a divorce, just a new phase in life, maybe we have additional assets we didn't have before, the laws change. And so there's a variety of things. So usually I do a rule of thumb is every 2 to 3 years, take out your estate plan and look at it and see, does it do what you want it to do? Have you named the right people in the right roles? And so for us, we prepare a summary of names and fiduciaries that you've listed for the different roles and the family information. And then we also have a summary of your will or your trust so that you can easily look it over and say, oh, okay, yeah, I do want to do something different. I want to give more to charity now. I want to rearrange. I want to bring in my grandchildren and give them something. There's a whole, it's just an easy way to look at it. So I do recommend every 2 to 3 years or when there's a life change.
And what if another firm wrote up their will? Can they come see you?
Yes, certainly. We can either review that, or sometimes they already know so much has changed that we'll just start from scratch anyway. If they already have a trust, a lot of people worry about revamping their trust because then they'd have to fund it again. But if we're doing a living trust, which is a revocable trust, it doesn't, we can revamp the whole thing. It's called a restatement of that trust. And any funding, and by that I mean the assets that are inside that trust, whatever's in that trust, will stay valid. So we refer to the original name, the original date, but now we have a new trust, a workable trust, so it functions for them and their desires now.
This is amazing. We had several listeners actually wrote us about a living trust,
Mm-hmm.
and they're animals because
Yes.
one lady has got a cat, a brand new cat,
Right.
that she thinks is going to outlive her.
Yes.
And do you ever do anything with pets?
We do. So we have pet trusts that we can do here in Texas, and we can provide up to a certain amount. It's about $250,000 into that trust. It doesn't have to be that much. And then we can also name who the caregiver would be or alternate caregiver for your cat or other pets. We can make sure that they have their needs taken care of, including their medical, veterinary needs. Just that we've pre-thought about all of that, and we have backups just in case it doesn't work out with the person that you have. Because for many people, that is so important in making sure that they're taken care of. And so if we want to set aside some money for that and not be concerned that someone might use that money for something else, then we set up a pet trust and to make sure it lasts for your pet's life. Sometimes we have several pets and they can all be included in that same pet trust.
We had a really interesting letter from a lady from Greece. Well, she lives in Houston,
Okay.
but she has relatives in Greece. And she just found out that her relative passed away.
Mm-hmm.
They were kind of next in line to get all of her property because she was the only living relative left. And turns out somebody got to them or something. Actually, the question is,
Mm-hmm.
who do they hire? Do they get an attorney in Greece, or do they get someone like your firm?
So they would need an attorney in Greece. So wherever that property is, they need an attorney in that country. And that is really important to handle it that way, because the laws here, they may or may not honor them. Sometimes they do have some ability to honor maybe a U.S. trust there, but since it was already a Greece citizen and Greece property, they definitely need a Greece attorney.
Do you have access to a list of attorneys in Greece, or how do they go about getting someone in another country?
I don't. I do have a list of access of attorneys all throughout the nation, and sometimes we'll just pose a question, and someone might know someone there. So that's something certainly we could inquire into.
Well, I wanted to ask you this in the beginning, but I had all these questions I didn't want to forget and leave somebody out. But it's just amazing. I mean, all the new people who are finding the show, and what I want you to do is, because you've got such an interesting story, tell people about yourself and about your firm.
Oh, I was just talking the other day and at a senior living facility, and my heart is for legacy and helping people secure legacy. And so I told them about 10 years ago when I was in the hospital, and actually I woke up with excruciating pain, and called my gastroenterologist and really felt like, that something was really wrong. But I thought, well, they'll probably just give me an antibiotic and I'll be fine. And he said, no, meet me in the ER and I'll be there soon. And so in the meantime, he had told them that I need a CAT scan and everything. And when he got there, I was in rigors. I was just shaking, and the CAT scan didn't show anything, but he said, you were really sick and you need surgery right now. And
Wow.
The surgeon wouldn't quite do it yet. They wanted to run through some antibiotics intravenously, but eventually went into surgery. And I was laying there going in. I was thinking, I'm not sure I'm going to make it. In my mind, it was kind of 50-50. I just knew I was really, really sick. And didn't know exactly what it was going to look like, when I went in, but I just felt two really strong feelings. I mean, I'm fine. I know where I'm going to be when I pass away, but there were still two really strong feelings. I wanted to tell my children and my family and my loved ones, again, just how much I love them, that they would always know how deeply I love them. Now, I tell them this several times a day, usually, but I just wanted to make sure that it was so embedded in them that I could bless them, and my last final words, that could be my last final words. And then the second thing was, oh man, my estate plan is not exactly what like I want it. And that was a terrible feeling. I had this unrest where I shouldn't have had that. It was just like, okay, I have a good plan, but it's not the one I want right now. We had done some other things, a couple years before that, and changed up our trust. And so I thought, no, it's not the way I want it. And that was a terrible sense of unrest. And I'm telling you that because fortunately everything worked out, and it was pretty miraculous, because my colon had burst and abscessed, but instead of spreading throughout my body, that can happen, it had encapsulated somehow, to me, miraculously. And I came through this. And so it's like God has given me a different passion and renewed passion for all of this. And I had it before, but I especially have it now. And it's, I don't want anyone to be at that place in life where they feel unrest because they're going on a vacation, because, something's happened within their family, they're in the hospital, they're facing surgery. I want them to feel peace that their financial side of their legacy is secure. And then I encourage them also to write letters to their loved ones, just letting them know, just how they feel about them, maybe their dreams or hopes, just the gifts that they see in them. And I'm telling you all this just to say my heart comes from wanting to help people have a really excellent legacy. We want to do excellent work. And we want to care for people that come through the door like we would our own family. And I feel like all our, or at least most of our clients do believe that they are part of our family. And we will treat them that way. And we know that that takes extra care and takes an extra time, but we will do that. So our practice is really focused on a few areas, and we do that intentionally because you can't be an expert in everything. But estate planning is so important, you know, how things pass, your legacy plan, but your disability plan as well. But if you haven't done any planning, we do have the guardianship side of that, or if you have a will going through probate, and then elder law, they all intersect. Because if we're planning now, we're planning proactively, and we're planning well, we need to know elder law, we need to know special needs, we need to know guardianship, because how do we avoid those things and do things well if we don't even know how to deal with them? So all those intersecting areas are really crucial, I think, to doing a really great estate plan that secures your legacy now during your disability, but also upon your passing. And then we want to amplify that legacy. So a lot of our more advanced techniques and trust are to amplify that legacy and allow that to continue to grow for our loved ones. And so we have, you know, a great opportunity even here in Texas to do dynasty type trust and to give a legacy that maybe we didn't receive, but in a good way that doesn't make it more difficult on your child, you know. So I'm always looking at how can we do that in a way that is beneficial and positive to your family. How can we minimize or eliminate any family conflicts? And how can we effectuate your desires legally to do all those things? So a long answer to say that's my heart.
Well, you know what, people, I mean, let me see how I want to say this, because we're in 10 cities now, and we have a lot of experts. And there's one thing I rarely do, is just because they're on our show doesn't mean I endorse them. Our experts on the show are to educate you. This is not a commercial. I mean, we hope that, you know, if you like what our experts say, that you will, you know, become a client. But I want to say, because Julie and I, we've prayed together. I've never seen anybody who's got such a heart for this area of law, like no other area. And listen, when you deal with family and kids and death, it's not the easiest thing to do. And you want somebody to represent you that you know in your heart really cares about you. And I got to tell you, if there is a such thing, God, I haven't done this in so long. If there is a such thing as endorsing somebody, I totally endorse attorney Julia Dean. She's just, I mean, God put her on this earth to be an estate planning attorney.
Well, thank you. I'm so honored that you would say that. And
Well,
I do feel like I'm in a sweet spot that has took me a long time to get there. I started in commercial litigation and, you know, but I worked my way there, civil appellate law. And then this is really my niche. It's really what I love. I'm so glad.
Well, you deal with death. That's something you deal with. And you deal with making sure that every single thing is taken care of. I don't even know how somebody could think about doing their own estate planning. I mean, they would miss out on so much, and it's so important. And you don't have to be a multimillionaire to have an estate planning attorney. I mean, there's just small things like a will that you can do. But, you know, we also get a lot of calls about elder law, Julia.
Yes.
Tell people what elder law is when it comes to an attorney.
So in our arena, when we're thinking of elder lots or disability planning, especially for our elderly population, so we're planning for disability, but also if we might need a needs-based government assistance like Medicaid, we and especially long or nursing home care. So we're thinking that, or we're thinking special needs, and that could be young as well as old. So it really does encompass a lot more than just elderly people. It encompasses all of us at some point or another that we might encounter a disability. But primarily people are thinking about Medicaid planning when we're looking at that. And how do we qualify for nursing home care? So would you like me to go into some of the
Yes, please.
qualifications on that? Yes. So I know it's a really complex area and it's not intuitive at all. And each state is different. So a lot of people go online and they look it up and they're just so confused because not only is there a lot of misinformation out there, but every state is different. So they may be getting information from another state. So usually I say, like, let's erase all that and go back and just start from ground zero, because you probably have gotten some bad information. So Texas is a combination of Texas law and federal law. So certain things are driven by federal laws. One of those is federal estate recovery, which we'll get into. But there's a 3-part test. So the first part is is medical necessity. And you have to have a certain number of activities of daily living that you cannot do, like feeding and bathing and, toileting and all of those things. So first, a doctor is going to have to establish that you need a certain level of care, nursing home level care for most of this. There are some other levels of care that can qualify for Medicaid, but primarily if we're helping you, it's on the nursing home level care. Secondly, we're going to look at your income. And do you have too much income? So there's a certain amount. And then with a married couple, we can keep a little bit more income. And it's not intuitive at all. They're going to look at the name on the check to decide what income we give to one person and the other spouse. So it's not community property and separate property like most people think. It's just the income coming in, what name is on the check. And so the spouse at home can keep a lot more than the spouse in the medical facility. So most people think if they're over that amount, they won't qualify at all, but that's not the case. We can do a special kind of trust to qualify them income-wise. Now, the asset test is a third test. And so there's certain countable assets that Medicaid will count against you. And then there's certain non-countable assets. So the non-countable assets are your home while you're alive and have the intent to come home. There's some other exceptions if you have a spouse at home or a disabled child at home. But if we want to keep the home protected even after that we pass away, so that Medicaid doesn't have to come and sell it and then repay themselves for whatever they paid out in benefits, which is what will happen if we don't do something actively, then we can do a special kind of deed to transfer over the estate in such a way that we're giving ourselves a life estate in the home, enhanced in that we can still sell it and keep the proceeds. We can still rent it and keep the proceeds. But if we own the house upon our death, then it immediately transfers to our beneficiaries. That is the way Texas has allowed us to avoid the federal Medicaid estate recovery, which requires them to sell your home and repay Texas Medicaid. So people who know about it, sometimes they know it under the slang name Ladybird deed. It's an enhanced life estate deed. Those are really important for protecting our home after we pass away. Now, some other non-countable assets right now would be insurance, term life insurance, and insurance that has cash value, but only up to $1,500. So if we have more, we may need to bring that down. And then our car, so one vehicle of any kind, any value. And then if you have a prepaid plan. So those are the main exempt or non-countable assets, and the home is just during your lifetime, so we need to do something to keep it exempt upon your death. And so if we have any other assets, which most all of us do, retirement assets or, savings account or whatever, we can do different things depending on if we have time to pre-plan or whether we're in a crisis situation. So if we're looking at Medicaid right now or pretty quickly, then we're in a crisis situation. If we have time to pre-plan, then great, because then there's a 5-year look back period in Medicaid. So if we apply for Medicaid now, they're going to look back 5 years and they're going to say, did you gift at all during that 5-year period of time? And if you gifted at all, then they will count up those gifts. It doesn't matter if you knew you were going to go into Medicaid or not. They're going to count them all up and they're going to divide it by a daily amount. And those are the number of days that you're disqualified up to 5 years. So that gifting away is not a good way of doing it unless we have 5 years to do that. And then we gift intentionally. We gift into a Medicaid asset protection trust. Oftentimes it's a parent gifting and for the benefit of the children. But the children know that that will be used. That's mom and dad's money. It can be used for their care if ever need be. But then if they get past that 5-year period of time, now they're eligible for Medicaid without spending down all that money. Well, usually the time we really need that and when it becomes a really great value to our families is if we have real estate, especially ranches and farms and mineral interests that have been in our family for generations. We don't want to lose it because mom or grandma or somebody needs to go into a nursing home and they don't have enough cash on hand to pay for it. And we don't want to have to sell everything too. So if we can do some pre-planning, this is one way the government allows us to do that if we've done some pre-planning. Now, if we have a crisis situation, then we do have to start looking at different ways. We can take some things that would be normally counted as an asset and change it into an income stream. As you recall, we might be able to get anyone on Medicaid with an income stream. So even if we go beyond those assets, so sometimes that's what we're doing in order to get someone qualified. So maybe that's taking a retirement account and turning it into a Medicaid qualified annuity. So now we have this income stream that can be counted in the income column as opposed to the asset column. So there's a variety of things we can do. Sometimes we'll buy that prepaid funeral plan. If it's irrevocable, we can get it out of Medicaid. If it's revocable, we can't, only to $1,500. So, it's just things like that we can just start planning in a thoughtful way so that we're using the funds in a way that would benefit the person who needs nursing home care without just gifting it and just being reliant on their family and being disqualified and then really relying on their family because they already gave it away. What if your family has spent it, that you need that money to take care of you? It's going to be a real hardship. So we want to be thoughtful about how that is passed on and how we plan for Medicaid purposes.
Good. There's a lot to know when it comes to elder law.
That is true. Yes.
I hate, this is amazing. This show goes by so fast. Give everybody your phone number who are listening on the radio now.
Thank you. Yes, it's 281-277-3326. So 281-277-3326. And my website is juliadeanlaw.com. So it's JuliaDeanlaw.com. And you can go there and just go ahead and put in your information. There's a contact us form, and that will come to our office, and we will call you and personally talk to you. So we have people who will talk to you right away. And if we can't, we will call you back as soon as possible to make sure we explain our processes for our estate planning consultations. Our initial consultation is complimentary, and it is also an educational time and to learn your options. For some of our others, it is paid, but on our estate planning consultations, it is complimentary. Our elder law consultations are paid just because it is a matter of kind of really sifting through everything and getting a plan in place for you as quickly as possible.
Julia, as always, thank you so much. Have a blessed weekend. We're going to see you in 2 weeks.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you. That's Attorney Julia Dean of the Dean Law Firm. We were supposed to have another guest who just texted me that she is ill today. So that will do it for today's Ask the Experts. We will be back with you next Friday with more great experts in the city of Houston. Everybody have a wonderful day. If you would like to have a show on the Ask the Experts, your company, your business, your practice, you can call us at 954-336-3767. Have a good weekend. God bless everybody.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.